Uh-huh. Yeah. It's the truth right here. Say you like poetess. We don't talk dreams, we talk facts.
Say you like portraits, yeah, we got the facts. Sit back, relax, so your ass get taxed. Money on the line, super chats, cash out. We expose the lies and we bring it all back. Say you like portraits, yeah, we run the block. Truth hit hard like a 30-round Glock. Facts in the booth, no cap, just stacks. Sit back, relax, so your ass get taxed.
Yeah, lights on, camera roll, it's the real life show. Talk slick on the net, in the flesh they froze. Cash app blinking, super chats on fire. They pay for the game cause the truth inspired. From the streets to the streams, I was raised on grit. Now the podcast popping, they can't fake this shit. Every word that I drop, man, it move like weight. They tune in for the ism, don't matter the state.
Say you like portraits, yeah, we got the facts. Sit back, relax, or your ass get taxed. Money on the line, super chats, cash out. We expose the lies and we bring it all back. It's the wake up call, ain't no cap in there. We bring truth to the front, let it blast in, yeah. I'm the host with the hustle, put the city on my back. When you step in this arena, you get checked with facts. It's survival of the real, and the fake don't last. We been grinding every night, steady counting this cash. Cellulite on the screen, yeah, the game too raw. If you front for the crowd, we exposing the flaw.
You know what it is, man. Somebody gotta keep it real. Sell your light, facts over feelings. Relax, or get taxed. I'm the truth on the mic, I don't bend, I don't fold. Every lie gon' crumble, every secret exposed. Super chats in the chat, cash apps on deck. They invest in the vision cause they know what's next. There's more than a show, it's a code, it's a vow. We the ones telling truth, you can't silence it now. Sell your like podcast, put respect on the name. We done built this empire off the hustle and pain.
Say you like portraits, yeah, we got the facts. Sit back, relax, so your ass get taxed. Money on the line, super chats, cash out. We expose the lies and we bring it all back. Tell you like portraits, yeah, we run a block. Truth hit hard like a 30-round Glock. Facts in the booth, no cap, just stacks. Sit back, relax, so your ass get taxed.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Greatly appreciate everybody stopping by, tuning in to the show. As y'all flood on in here, make sure y'all hit the like button, share it out, support all of that good stuff. If you haven't followed, subscribed, and all this, that, and the other good stuff, you already know how it goes. When it comes to social media, you already know what to do and how it goes. But I got to go ahead and address my homie. Big Bad Bull is in the building. Big Bad Bull says, where the fuck did the super chat go? I've been demonetized, and that's fine. It is what it is. Per YouTube's standards and guidelines and all this, that, and the other, my channel, along with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other channels, have been deemed unmonetizable at the moment. So it is what it is. So if you want to support the show, you know, you can go ahead and, as always, you can support the show by hitting the Cash App. It is $SELLYOULIGHT. But yes, unfortunately, we was caught up in that little demonetization string that YouTube had going on. It is what it is. I ain't worried about it. It's all right. I'm not losing no sleep about it. It is what it is. But that's where the super chat button went. So that's to answer your question, Big Bad Bull. Now, let me go ahead and give a warm welcome to everybody in the building. We got Almanaz in the building. What is going on, Almanaz? She says, oh, snap, dinner tube at its finest. Oh, yes, indeed. I got a hell of a show planned for you today. Michael Diaz in the building. What's going on, my brother? Hope all is well. Riaz is in the building. What's going on? Rooster's here. What's going on, Rooster? Chase is in the building. What's going on, No Chaser? Hope all is well with your big dog. Who else we got up in here? Kills is what's in the building. What's going on? And then Rooster says, wow, shaking my head. Colored people did it. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But let me go ahead and move on because I don't want to, bore anybody, So we got a few things that we got to talk about today. The first thing we got to talk about today is this Chud the Builder and the Karmelo Anthony situation. What's going on, Braylon? Hey, how you doing? What's going on? My brother Christopher J is in the building. What's happening, Christopher J? Hope all is well with your big dog. Now, with that being said, we got to talk about this Chud the Builder and Karmelo Anthony's, the contrasting things between these two situations. A lot of people say that it's the same situation, different skin. Should it equal different justice? What's going on, P Branch? Hi, how you doing? Coconuts, what's going on, Dims? Hope all is well with your big dog. So this is the thing. A lot of people are drawing conclusions right now, and they're putting a lot of their own anecdotal experiences and their own wants and what have nots behind these two different cases. So in the midst of these two cases that's going on, because we all know that the Karmelo Anthony case starts, I think it's June, right? Actually, hey, we got about 9 days before that thing gets started. Once that case gets started, a lot of people are going to be streaming. I myself, and I'm going to be interested in what happens in that case. But recently, since this Chud the Builder situation has happened, a lot of people have been weighing in on it. At first, it was racist that Karmelo Anthony's bond was set so high, so it got reduced. Then it turns around. Now Chud the Builder's bond, his bond is $1 million, and people are saying it's justified. I'm trying to understand the distinction between the two. If Chud the Builder's case is being argued by a lot of people and a lot of supporters saying that it's self-defense for Chud the Builder, wouldn't it be self-defense for Karmelo Anthony? If it's self-defense for Karmelo Anthony and he actually took someone's life, why would it not then be self-defense for Chud the Builder? And all he did was shoot someone. The contrasting thing between these two different things is this. As we all know, it's always based on what? Everybody should know the answer to this, but it's always based on what? Just messaged me. I still have to remove this. Okay, cool. Bet. Appreciate you. So it's always based on what? We all know the answer. It's always based on skin color. That's the real thing, the diatribe, the difference between these two different sections. It's always based on skin color and community opinion. When it comes down to the same incident, opposite reactions, is there a racial double standard? Now, we definitely have a few things that we have to get through because I do want to review some video, a little bit of a back and forth between DJ Academics and Myron Gangs. They just recently had a debate about this, and I want to get y'all reactions, y'all opinions about this. Of course, I do have the link pinned. The link is pinned for anyone to join them up. We're going to be, having guests come up to give their opinion and really just drive the conversation forward. But again, as always, I want to really mine out the distinction driving difference between these two. So we're going to try something a little bit different today, and I hope this works on the vertical stream. So I'm going to switch cameras for just a second. And it did not work on the vertical stream the way that I wanted it to. So I'm going to go with my original plan and just stay here. All right, so I'm going to add this to the stage. That way y'all can be able to see. I wonder, will it still work that way if I do it? If I do it like this, nah, it won't work that way. Y'all won't be able to hear the audio on the vertical stage. Yeah, y'all won't be able to hear the audio on the vertical stage. It's gonna look janky on the vertical stage. I don't want. You said before you go too far, can you check your cash app? Yeah, I got you, big homie. Let me check my cash app. Yes, sir. This is me. Yes, sir. This is me. Absolutely, and I appreciate you for the cash app, big homie. Thank you very much. So I don't want to put on a bad presentation for y'all for the show. So I am going to go ahead and single this out, and I'll just put myself in the bottom corner, and I'll go back to my original camera, which is right here. All right, cool. So appreciate you, big bad boy. Thank you very much. Unregulated Media TV says, how? What's going on, big homie? All right, so as I said, we're going to listen to a little bit of this debate. The panel link is pinned. If you want to join the panel, please make sure you have your camera on. But we're going to listen in for a little bit, and then we're going to have a little bit of discussion.
Not much. So, no.
Oh, and also put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear this audio.
They were trying to have me react to a video. I think it was you and Sneeko. You guys were reacting to the conversation we had with Chud the Builder.
Yeah.
Or about Chud the Builder. I think the conversation went a little bit elsewhere, but it was for me, I thought it was I'm usually the person that is never, I'm not like Tariq Nasheed, where it's like, yo, and I think that's another place where Sneeko did a misstep, because I think he approached it like I was going to come with this victimhood thing. And I was like, no, I'm not defending none of those points. What I'm defending here is that we have a certain individual, right? Whether you I don't know how you kind of grade racial relations within, among races at this point. I think they're better than a couple years ago when people were rioting. And this guy is going out of his way, and he's using some.
Hey, shout out to my man's Big Bad Bull. He said, okay, just sent you another. Stay motivated, good brother. You know what? I appreciate you. Much love to you. Let me go ahead and celebrate Big Bad Bull for being a sponsor of the motherfucking show. Thank you very much. Let me go ahead and celebrate my man's with the yam.
Here's Charlie Wilson.
Can I get to the yams? Sweet yams. Show me the way, 'cause I got bills to pay. Can I get to the yams? Sweet yams. Show me the way, 'cause I got bills to pay.
Thank you very much, Big Bad Bull, for being a sponsor of the show, pretty much. And thank you very much, big homie. Let's continue.
Something that would seem legal, but it's not legal. He's saying it's my freedom of speech to be using slurs to offend you off, get you to a point that you could possibly, so I'm going to provoke you till you could possibly attack me. And if you do it, man, I got this gun on my hip, I'm going to put your brains on the pavement. And so Sneeko hopped on, and his opinion was this, and I guess you could chime in after that.
Yeah.
But this was the brunt of the debate. He said, well, here's the thing. He's like, I don't necessarily agree with what Chud the Builder does. However, I do think that, the black community or any community that allows a word to have like that much power, they should almost nerf the word, just like, repurpose it, or when people use it, just don't take offense. And my point to him was, that's just not like, if we go back in the history of all etymology, like that's just not how words are used and repurposed and put into place. If I say certain words to you about whether your religion or your mom or anything that's sacred to you, and also the thing with when disrespect is intended, even if it wasn't that, he would have found the to put the disrespect in. So it's hard to avoid when someone is seeking disrespect. If, I said earlier, and I'll throw it to you after this, I said, if, because I'd seen a small part of I guess you went on a tirade and you said, well, if there is a little bit of fatigue. And I said, well, here's the thing. When I look at white people, I do think white people are kind of tired of not being able to be themselves, not being able to be proud of being white. Because historically in the last 10 years or so, it has been where it's hey, if you're proud to be white, you're proud to be right? And it's almost been synonymous. And I do see the tides changed on that. I don't have a problem necessarily with that. I have a problem when they're trying to combine those movements with a guy who is not if he was walking up to white people, be yo, we're white, we're proud, we're Americans. And if that was his thing and he's going viral, I don't think he gets his backlash. Is that he makes his movement diametrically opposed to people trying to put them down and also trying to assert why he's proud to be who he is. And that's why I thought it was a bad representative of any argument that anyone could have trying to support him. And the sneaker argument happened. What say you?
Yeah, so I think it's important.
So I just want to go ahead. I am going to listen to Myron's response. Let me turn my screen here a little bit. I can't see. I do. All right, so I do want to go ahead and just give a little bit of a commentary to what Act just said. I think that's what's a lot of men going on. Hey, Edie Man, what's going on, my brother? What's happening? Busto says Act is still terrible. So regardless of the person, I always like to react to what's being said. So the thing is, I think Act really pointed out something that was that has been going on these last, I would say 5, maybe 10 years, maybe even 15, 20 for some people. I'm not that old. I was born in 89. So the thing is, a lot of people have been talking about black fatigue. If y'all are familiar with this statement about black fatigue, please put a 1 in the chat, right? And what he's saying is that a lot of white people, even though they're being painted or labeled synonymously with racism, a lot of black people have been painted and synonymously labeled with racism as well. The thing is just that a lot of people are just starting to be more of themselves. And that does not necessarily mean that they are naturally racist or just because they're white or because they're black. But when we talk about the court of public opinion, then people are going to draw their distinction to how it is that they want. The sad part is that when it comes to how it is that you speak or how it is that you project or present a message, people are going to say, well, you're white, you're racist. You're a black, you're racist. If you don't like light skin, you're racist. If you don't like dark skin, you're racist. When it comes to this Chud the Builder, and hell, even with the Karmelo Anthony situation, a lot of people rallied behind Karmelo Anthony because I'm just going by what it is that I've seen within the scene, okay? A lot of people rallied behind Karmelo Anthony, black people rallied behind Karmelo Anthony because he's a young black man, and in this particular situation, he was involved in an incident with a young white man. And what happened was that the young white man ended up losing his life, and a lot of people were saying, well, it's self-defense, and he should be able to use GoFundMe and Give, Send, Go, and all this, that, and the other. A lot of people are saying, well, that's racist, that he shouldn't be treated like that. And his bond was set at $1 million. It's wrong, right? Okay, Rooster said, I can admit that I'm kind of prejudiced. It has nothing to do with color. Appreciate that. Brandon says, I get called that every time I do a live stream. It happens. And even in this situation with Chud the Builder, a lot of people are saying that this was driven purely by racism. Now, does that mean that just because of the content that Chud the Builder has produced, does that mean he's a racist? No, but that's also up for public opinion, right? So let's go ahead and move on to let's hear what Myron says.
Right, to kind of understand that, a lot of the clips that go viral from, right, those clips went viral because of the altercation. But obviously, nothing gets clipped when he's having conversations with people, when they're chopping it up about stuff more positive. Only the negative stuff goes viral. Me and you both know this, being in this industry, that, the good stuff is never clipped, right? When you say things that are positive, where you help people out, they never clip that. They only clip when you're, crashing out on Meek Mill or saying, you Rory or some other shit. So I think that's important because us as content creators, we understand that we always get clipped, sometimes at the craziest moments that don't necessarily reflect us. Now, with that said, let me be clear about this. I don't agree walking around and antagonizing people. I think that's probably not a good idea. And I actually messaged him about this as well. Now, with that said, when I talk about what just went down with this shooting, I'm speaking from the scope that based on the information that I saw and what people told me that were actually watching the live stream, did you hear like what was like the narrative, what's been said?
Please. Well, I've heard one narrative, but I want to hear what you
so basically from people that watch the stream, it goes down like this. He's walking around and a group of people, presumably with whoever this guy was there, like pointed at him and started laughing. So he walks over, he says, "Hey, you guys like my suit? How's your day? Blah, blah, blah." One of the guys
says, "This is outside the courthouse, right?" Because
it's like outside the courthouse. It's in this vicinity, yeah. One of the guys says, "Hey, get out of here." And he says, "Well, I have the right to be wherever I want to be and walk where I want," right? He starts walking away. Then he walks about 50 to 100 feet or yards away, whatever it may be. And the dude walks up to him and says, "I got PTSD. You better not say that I'm going to chimp out or call me that, blah, blah, blah." Right? So he says, "Or what? You're going to chimp out?" And the guy punches him, right? He punches him. The camera falls. You hear some tussling for a few seconds, and then you hear shots fired, right? Now, when it comes to those facts and circumstances, right, that is self-defense. People don't have to like, they don't have to agree with the content he makes. They don't have to, be a fan or not. But I do think that with what went down and the facts that we know right now, if they are that in that manner, in that order, more than likely he's gonna have a pretty strong self-defense case. But the thing that people need to understand, and me and you both know this, we talked about this last time we spoke. Whenever you have a high-profile case like this, like where someone that's high-profile was involved in an altercation or something happened, a lot of times the state is just gonna make an arrest to absolve themselves from responsibility so that they can kind of be like, "Oh, we're gonna pass the buck to grand jury." Like this literally happened to you. So you know what I mean? You were innocent. We all know you were. Or lie all the time, but they still had to try to, let's push it to the grand jury because, we don't want to deal with any type of fallout. So when it comes to the situation, the guy closed the distance on him, and typically whoever closes the distance is the aggressor, and Tennessee has a stand your ground statute. So once he punched him, it's all, game's on now at this point, right?
So
all right, so before Ack respond, Curtis Baldwin says, "Bullshit, 12 cameras say otherwise." I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen the stream. I've only seen the fallout. So I wouldn't be able to comment on whether or not it was 12 cameras there or not. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, likes are free. Please make sure you double tap your screen. So just responding to what Myron said really quick. Typically, the person who does the approaching is the aggressor. I'm not saying that Chud is within his. I'm not saying that Chud is not going to be like use the whole this is self-defense argument, but when it comes down to whether or not if the person who approached on him is the aggressor, that's up for a jury to decide. We wasn't there. Some of y'all seen the video. I didn't, but it is what it is. But in this Karmelo Anthony situation, the same thing is applying there. A lot of people are drawing the distinction that just because it was Austin Metcalf and his brother, that they're the ones they was jumping him, and he's in a right to defend himself. Again, a lot of court of public opinion was being drawn down on the Karmelo Anthony case, and the same thing is happening here. The problem is, though, it's just that in the Karmelo Anthony case, he's black, and Austin Metcalf is white. And in this Chud the Builder case, he's white, and the person that he ended up shooting was black. And that's what's really drawing the distinction. Winters Rising said this is just going to be used to cause more division between races. That's all the government wants, and they will push it. That's a very good point to make, because now the question is, are these cases getting all of this highlight because of the politics? What's going on, Genesis? Hey, sister, what's going on? If you think that these cases are getting all of this attention because of politics, especially because of racial politics, make sure you put a 1 in the chat. Let's go.
I'm with you on most of this. And so the narrative I heard, it omits the part that he basically just says, "What's up?" and walks away. Then the other guy approaches, right? So in the narrative I heard, he approached the guy. He's trying to have a conversation. The guy warns him. There is no walking away. So it appears that walks up, and the guy warns him, "Hey, I have PTSD." Continues in their rhetoric back and forth. He then says it's out thing, a punch happens. But I'll dismiss what I've heard and go with what you've heard.
Yeah.
Just to continue the conversation.
Because the people I spoke to watched the stream. Like I asked a couple of people that watched the stream, and that's what they said. So there's
Is there anybody in the chat that watched the stream? I just want to know. Is there anybody in the chat that watched the stream?
It's a short conversation. There's a short conversation. The guy tells him, "Get out of here." He says, "I could walk where I want and be where I want. It's a free country," something along those lines. He walks away. Then the guy closes the distance on him and makes the remarks about, "You better not say that around me," or, say that now she got PTSD. And then he says, "Oh, are you going to out?" And that's when he punched him. and then obviously the fight begins.
And this is where, okay, so just addressing that. All right, if what you're saying is right, and I have really no reason to believe that it's just like a complete lie, so I'm going to go with it. So that happened. Well, self-defense is not utilizing deadly force, right? Like, I think deadly force, like, is defined by all 50 states, but even federally is like
self-defense can rise up to the level.
It has to reach. So and this is the important distinction. I think a lot of people who like or maybe supported in theory what he was doing, because he kept saying things like, hey, this is my First Amendment right, free speech. A lot of people didn't correct him in saying that, hey, listen, brother, you better go get a black belt or learn to squabble up, because what happens is if someone spits on you, you can't shoot them.
Sure.
If someone knocks your hat off, you can't execute them.
Sure.
So even if I'm going with what you said, yes, I believe he was defending himself, but when you defend yourself, that's you fighting back. So it wouldn't be an assault charge if
what academics is talking about here is proportionality. For a lot of people who don't really understand, was the level of threat, was the potential threat that was coming to you, was there a level of proportionality which now can result in you having to use deadly force, right? I think this is one of the things that me and a lot of other people really got into a very big argument. As a matter of fact, I had to take that stream down because a lot of people really didn't like my stance and position on the Karmelo Anthony case, so they was reporting my channel. So unfortunately, I had to take that live stream down. But I was always asking the question about proportionality in the Karmelo Anthony case. Was it within the gauge or the scope of proportionality for him to use a knife just because a person who was about the same size as Bill, maybe a little bit even bigger, was in a physical altercation and he ended up using a knife? In this particular situation, this person who ended up getting shot by Chud the Builder, he says, hey, don't use that language. That gives me PTSD, or I got PTSD. And Chud the Builder said, well, are you going to punch out? And the guy swings on him. Proportionality wise, is it within the law for him to shoot someone just because they punched him? And now when you're in the court of public opinion, people saying, oh, well, he's a white guy, he's black. We've done with years of systemic racism, so he was in the right to punch him. Well, now I ask this question because they said that Chud the Builder was saying that this is First Amendment speech. Is racism or derogative language, is it still a part of the First Amendment? That's the question for y'all in the chat. Let's continue.
He had punched the guy back in the mouth or even beat the shit out of him. But when you grab a gun and then that was, by the way, it's in his intent. He said it multiple times. Hey, I'm leaving a chimp's brain on the pavement. He's not saying that I hope no one threatens my life. He says these altercations where at times people are not even saying, I'm going to kill you. There's nothing that establishes, and you know, you're a former law enforcement agent, so you know better than me. There's nothing that he could, articulate that says, hey, I am in fear of my life. Someone punching you in the mouth is not in fear of your life. He didn't say that. I heard that audio where he was telling the cop. He never said, oh, the guy was trying to grab my gun. He didn't say, hey, I'm about to shoot you with my gun. Basically, trust me, I know you walk around with a gun. I walk around with a gun. There's a lot of Americans that walk around using and establishing their Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms. Whether it's concealed or not, usually everybody is in the know of saying or understanding that it's not the first thing you use towards any type of violent or threatening altercation. If someone says, I'm going to slap you, you can't shoot them and get away with it. If someone like bumps hard into you and you feel that was, like a act of aggression, you can't execute them. So someone punching this guy in the face, I think he had a severe misunderstanding for a while, thinking that if you touch him, he was well within his right to shoot you. And you tell me if you believe that's legal. So I'm saying he's defending himself. I'm saying he's not right to defend himself with a gun.
Fair.
I'm gonna be honest. Ak is asking the right questions, and you know what? I gotta give DJ Academics a little bit of credit here. He's asking the right questions. No one's saying that you can't defend yourself, but can you defend yourself with deadly force just because someone touches you? Really quick, Winter's Rising says, do you believe a defense lawyer and the prosecutor hate each other when they're in the court? When they're not in court, it's all for sure. Absolutely. King Richard says, once you put a person in a charcoal, that's attempted murder, if that even happened. Oh, by the way, since I'm demonetized, y'all don't have to cure up y'all language. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Even when I bring y'all up on the panel, just certain things just stay away from. Really quick. And Brandon, my man's Brandon, he says in Tennessee, you must face an immediate high-level threat before you can use deadly force. Braylon says words should never lead to violence. The person who escalated to violence is the aggressor. Brandon says the law specifies that the threat must be real or honestly believed to be real at the time, and you cannot simply use deadly force to protect property or respond to minor physical altercations. All right, let's continue.
So you're trying to make the argument that the proportionality was off, right?
Yes, because usually most laws say there has to be proportional force. Yeah,
fair. Okay.
In terms of
let's switch Chud out. Let's say it's a 5'2" girl, same exact fact pattern. Can she shoot him?
After one punch, I would say no. I mean, it would be heavily debated though with the jury. I can imagine.
Okay.
Heavily.
It all depends on what Myron just did there. He changed out Chud the Builder to a 5'2" girl. Proportionality wise, I'm 5'11". I weigh about 270. If a girl is 5'2" and I swing on her, I'm gonna ask y'all in the chat. I'm gonna ask y'all, and I do not believe in hitting women, but I'm gonna ask y'all in the chat. I'm 5'11", 270. A girl is 5'2", and she weighs about 160 pounds. Let's say 160 pounds. If I swing on her, proportionally, if you was a part of the jury, would you say that she had the right to use deadly force? That's my question to y'all. In this case, I don't know how tall or how big Chud the Builder is. I don't know how tall or how big the other guy is, but they're both grown men. I'm only assuming here. Does swinging on someone, punching someone, is that proportionality wise for you to use deadly force? Big Bad Bull says yes. If she's 5'2", I'm 5'11", and I'm 270, she's 160. Proportionally, she should be able to use a gun. Again, it's always up to the jury. Almond says no. I'm gonna be glad to bring y'all on the panel so y'all can have an open discussion about this. Let's continue.
So right, like if it's like, oh, this has been my abuser, there's some history there, I'm really scared. Yes. In Chud's case, that's a tough sell. And again, here's my thing. He's been going around citing these, my First Amendment, my Second Amendment. But so you're gonna roll the die on people thinking that your frame of mind was that you're scared or you thought your life was in danger when you're online saying for months, I'm gonna leave a chimp's brain on the pavement. And he said it was a season finale. Like all these things, these things are not gonna get tossed. He's not gonna be lucky like Luigi Mangione, who just got the backpack tossed out. All of these things are going to be active in your case.
So let me ask you this, active. So for you believe that his use of force wasn't proportionate to what happened to him. So I said, yes, because you believe one punch doesn't constitute as justification for deadly force. Fair.
Yes.
Then I asked you, well, what if it was a 5'1" and this dude punched her? Would she be justified shooting him? Right? It'd be a better case, right? Perfect. So what you just did there, I don't think what you just did there was you basically made it, for their girl, the force is reasonable, right? But for I don't think so. And this is why self-defense is so important.
Did Myron really just plug his book in here? Why Women Deserve Even Less. Oh my God.
It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what anyone thinks. The only thing that matters is the person that used the force and what was going on at their mind at the time of the act when they pulled the trigger or decided to use deadly force. And it's very important to know also, and I went into detail with this with a self-defense lawyer, one of the best lawyers in the country, and he also agrees with me on this. When it comes to self-defense and using deadly force, within milliseconds, that decision could be made, right? This is what protects people from getting wrongly prosecuted when they have had a reasonable inclination to believe their life was in danger. For example, let's say you get into a road rage incident, right? You get out the car, the other dude gets out the car. He says, fuck you, act, blah, 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 all this other shit. And then you see him go like this, right? And you see something silver. You pull out your piece and you shoot him dead, right? But then you find right? And then, but you find out, it was a pocket knife, right? Or it was a cell phone. Well, now would a reasonable person have reason to believe that after a car crash, right? A fender bender, and they're out on the street fighting each other, and the guy comes out aggressively and says some things about you, and then he reaches like this, you see the light shine on it, and you're like, no way, I'm not taking a chance. You shoot him. You could argue that you were acting reasonably given the facts that were given to you. Why do I say all this? I say all this to say, we don't know what was going on when he was assaulted, and for us to dismiss it and say, he got punched one time in the face, that doesn't constitute as deadly force. We can't say that. Let's say he got hit in the back of the head. Let's say he got hit in an area where it knocked the wind out of him and he wouldn't be able to defend himself. Let's say he got a hold of his mace. I know this dude carries mace around with him, right? So we don't know all the different provoking factors that led to pulling the trigger. But when it comes to self-defense, it's never based on what the 2020 hindsight is, like me and you were doing. It's based on what was known to at the time he pulled the trigger. That's the only thing that matters.
And what you're doing right now is an amazing defense attorney stance. And I like, if I'm his attorney, I'm hiring you, a former law enforcement agent, as an expert witness in a jiffy. But there's a few things to consider, right? First and foremost, the reason why he's doing all these things is going to end up hurting him, right? The fact that there's actually audio recorded at the moment where he's even explaining it, and it's now to the world, where he literally explains how it happened. He says, well, I went up to the guy. The guy says, hey, whatever, he doesn't want to kind of engage. He says, yo, you better not say that. I got PTSD. He explains that. None of his explanation said I was in fear for my life. Now, granted, that's not the only time
he said he had to defend himself. But it's also, here's another thing too, Ak, you got to remember.
Well, hold on. This is another thing that's being taken into consideration, right? A lot of people always talk about what was said and what was said on record and all this, that, and the other. Even in the Karmelo Anthony case, it was heavily debated here on this channel and even all across social media that what he said to the school resource officer, which was not a police officer, that should be taken into consideration. I told him not to touch me. I told him don't put his hands on me. I had to do what I had to do. Whatever what was said to the school resource officer, a lot of people saying that should be thrown out of court because he wasn't read his rights. Well, if that's going to be the standard, then the same standard should be in this Chud the Builder case. But it's up to court of public opinion. Now, even when Karmelo Anthony was questioned by the police officer, he even then went on to explain or really just give details as to his account of what happened. A lot of people are saying, well, that should be thrown out as well because he wasn't read his rights. And even still, when it came down to his bond consideration, a lot of things came into play, and the judge herself, I think, even took that into account. That's why she reduced his bond. That's why she even let him out of jail. So a lot of people are saying from those who are supporting Chud the Builder that what's being done to him is racially driven and that it's wrong because as a white man, he's not being given the fair treatment that a lot of other people who've been in his situation is getting because his bond is still at $1 million. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's still in jail. And Karmelo Anthony, and all he did was shoot someone. And Karmelo Anthony's situation, he took someone's life. His bond was reduced. And on top of that, he's at home. So, excuse me. So a lot of people's like, all of those racial injustice, that systemic racism that y'all talk about, apparently it does not exist, or at least it did not exist when it came to Karmelo Anthony. Jim Porter says he brought a knife to a track meet. It was premeditated. Facts. A lot of people are having that distinction. A lot of people on the a lot of people when it comes to the Chud the Builder incident can say that he brought a gun while doing content. That can be premeditated as well. I'm just here asking the questions. Brandon says, in my opinion, the Karmelo Anthony's case was a lot more political than race. Well, I think that Karmelo Anthony's case only got the attention that it got because people start painting a racist narrative about it. They wanted to make it about race. They wanted to bring it about public consumption and sympathy and empathy, even when it came down to the GoFundMe and the Give Sins Go. If I'm not mistaken, this same thing happened with the young white woman who called a black person a nigga in the park, and she got over $1 million within a few days on her Give Sin Go. Karmelo Anthony's Give Sin Go is crazy as hell. It's up there. Deke says, who is they? When you say who is they, what question? You got to be a little bit more specific when you say who is they. So, thing is, there's a clear contrast between the two. Let's continue.
No.
That's a huge range, right? Like he hasn't established where he feels he's in fear of his life. He says the guy punches him. He never says, "Hey,
you don't have to fear."
Well, there's the other thing too. He's well, hold on, wait. I gotta hear what he's about to say.
Feels he's in fear of his life. He says the guy punches him. He never says,
you don't have to fear for your life, Ak. It could be, it's not just that, it's not just like you feel like you're gonna die. It could be serious bodily injury too. Serious bodily injury can also constitute for deadly force, right?
I understand why Myron is making that argument. Because even in the case with Renee Good, a lot of people are saying it was just a car. It wouldn't have killed him. You don't know that. What you don't know is that this man was also drugged by an illegal alien, and even he had the right to use deadly force per the law. So there's that. Let's continue.
Let's say you're a diabetic, right? And you know that your sugar's low. This dude comes up to you and hits you, right? You already start seeing stars. Well, now, if you pull out a gun and shoot him.
Camp says they are the ones that makes the rules. Nobody sees who they are.
Right? Because according to what you're saying, you're like, oh, a punch doesn't constitute as justification for deadly force. My argument to that is it can, depending on who the individual is. We also don't know if he didn't follow up with a flurry of punches. Every punch that he throws gives Chud more and more justification. Maybe.
What's going on, Cheapo? I want to reference another case in this. Hey, Naomi, what's going on? JKE says a single punch is not either. No justification possible if person wasn't following up the attack. I hate to bring up another case, but y'all know about the case with Zimmerman, right? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all know about the case with George Zimmerman. Everybody should know about the case with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. It's being argued that, well, it was argued that George Zimmerman did not have a right to defend himself. And it's also being argued that Trayvon Martin had a right to defend himself. Well, per the law, and because of small eggshell theory? I think it's called the eggshell theory. Because of the eggshell theory, Trayvon Martin, apparently, for what was being argued in court, is that he was bashing George Zimmerman's head on the ground. Now, George Zimmerman did have a firearm on him. My question to y'all in the chat, if someone is bashing your head on the ground, do you have a right to utilize that firearm to defend your life? That's my question to y'all. TB Trucker says, you can't be an antagonizer and then play victim.
It didn't fly for 1 second. It's not.
You don't know how much I agree with you on that. Brittany, what's going on, Brittany? What's going on? What's going on? Let's continue.
He heard, go kill that guy, whatever. And I know you mentioned before, yo, this dude walks around provoking people, etc. So check this out. Here's another thing that's very important. Your state of mind when you use the deadly force also matters. So if you've been getting death threats.
Benny says, are you saying it is okay to use a gun and kill an unarmed person? So I knew this question was going to come up, so I have to answer it. Benny, let me go ahead and answer your question respectfully. Am I saying it is okay to use a gun to kill an unarmed person? If your grandmother had a gun legally, if your grandmother had her gun and someone is bashing your grandmother up against the door, does your grandmother have a right to use that gun to defend herself? It's a simple question. Because we talk about proportionality. Let's say your grandmother's 75 years old. Jim Porter says, what was Martin doing in a gated community at 2:30 in the morning? I don't know. I wasn't there. I do know that per a lot of amendments in the Constitution, you can go wherever you want to go. But yes, the person in the chat, Benny, am I saying that it's okay to use a gun to kill an unarmed person in certain situations? Yes, absolutely. Let's continue.
If people have been threatening to kill you, if your address has been doxxed, if you've been going through situations where people are stalking you, whatever, all of that actually gives more, right, reasonable belief that his life is in danger and that he can use deadly force. Now, I don't have to say I agree with that or I'm happy that that's what it is. I'm just being objective here and unbiased that when you have threats on your life, you get doxxed and you're like a polarizing figure like him, his use of force ladder is much easier to climb because he can reasonably articulate that, look, I'm a controversial guy. People come up to me. People say they want to kill me. People have.
TD Trucker says none of those cases you're talking about is even close to this case. Well, I would draw a very heavy distinction because a lot of people are arguing on social media about this racial double standard because Chud the Builder's bond is still $1 million and he's in jail. Karmelo Anthony's bond was reduced to $250,000 because it was racist to be at $1 million and he's on house arrest. Sorry. That's all I'm saying. Sam Hyde 45. Is that the real Sam Hyde? I don't think that's the real Sam Hyde. I don't think that's the real Sam Hyde. If it is, the link is pinned. If y'all want to join, y'all can. But let's continue.
these threats against me, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I did what I did. Also, interesting side bit. The dude that punched him had made a post on social media saying that he was going to harm him. So we don't know if Chud knew that. He might have recognized the guy, or the guy might have said, I'm going to kill you. I knew I was going to run into you. I'm going to kill you. Well, any of that stuff that's said can obviously be reasonably looked at as a threat on his life, which allows him to use deadly force. And keep in mind, you don't have to get hit, right? Or
also
struck.
Similarly, I'm going to leave a chip's brain on the pavement.
Self-defense.
So that will be used. I will say though, everything we're saying, and we're kind of like trying to operate from like this hypothetical type of
because we don't know all the facts. We don't know all of them. So
it is kind of almost nerfed though by the fact that yes, maybe if it was some random guy that didn't leave a long established history and trail of audio and video.
I just have to point this out because this is funny. Sharon Steffen says Chud is a racist. Crazy Train says Karmelo Anthony is a racist. Proves my point. Let's continue.
Video of him promising to do certain things or acting in certain situations. Keep in mind, there's also a video or some depiction of what happened, because according to the arrest warrant, they said that he was in a bladed stance with his weapon out before the guy ever punched him. So already you're cooked. Like, so the weapon is out. So if you then, so let's put it in perspective in how I'm going to do it. So you antagonize people with words. They now start to either, react back, maybe not even physically yet, and you have your gun out. It's like bait car.
He didn't antagonize them. It's important, he didn't antagonize them on this situation. The only fact pattern that matters is this situation. All the stuff he did before is kind of.
So he never called this guy.
No, what he said, what they told me was, he said, you better not call me that or say that I'm chipping out. And he goes, or what? You're going to chip out.
Why would he throw up for his gun then? So suppose they're saying he's in a bladed stance with his weapon out.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that if the other party, remember you said that he walked away.
Yep.
It seems like he's de-escalating. He's not antagonizing. Why would he need to pull his weapon unless you're saying this guy literally was an unhinged guy trying to attack him?
Sure, I can answer that. It was probably pepper spray. So walks around with bear mace all the time, and that's typically what he uses. So we don't know if he wasn't reaching for his bear mace.
Well, the CNN personnel who read the arrest warrant said he reached for his firearm and he stood in a bladed stance. And this was before the altercation.
It's not illegal. Let's go with that fact pattern. Even though what I've been told is he got hit first, then you heard the gunshots. Okay. Let's assume that he was with a bladed stance.
I believe that too. I'm just saying there are some people where even after you got your gun out, they think you're not going to fire and they'll still hit you.
Okay, so perfect. Let's use that fact pattern. Let's dismiss mine. Let's use yours. Let's assume that the guy is walking towards him when he has a bladed stance, saying, "Hey, you better not." Which obviously,
Benny says you are not law enforcement. You are not allowed to question people. That's not true. You can question anyone that you want. Whether they want to answer, that's on them. Even when it comes to law enforcement, if they ask you a question, that does not mean that you have to answer. I think a lot of people really need to understand this. Just because a police officer asks you a question does not mean that you have to answer. You have to answer any question that they ask you. You can just simply say, I'm not answering questions. What's your name? I'm not answering questions. Asking questions is free speech. Exactly.
Implies he has a weapon. You can argue now that he's coming at me when I'm warning him I have a weapon. This guy's crazy and wants to hurt me. So you can flip it around the other way around.
That would also be assault, correct? Like,
no.
If
you have no duty, you have no duty to retreat. You have no duty to retreat.
Okay, I'm having an argument with the guy and I pulled out a loaded gun on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing. If you have a loaded gun on someone, remember there's been no physicality yet, and that person punches you, the person who punched you isn't wrong?
Okay, you said, hold on. You said reaching for. Now you're saying he pulled it out and pointed. That's a big difference. Reaching for versus this is two different things.
No, actually, Myron's wrong on this, okay? I don't have my gun on me, but I do own firearms. Do y'all understand what brandishing is, right? Let me give you an example. I'm not going to stand up, but if I had my gun on my waist and it was concealed, and I lift my hoodie up, is that brandishing? I'm asking that to everybody in the chat. If I have my gun concealed within my waistband, right? If I'm bladder carrying, and I lift my hoodie up, is that brandishing? Brandishing. Okay, yes. All right, cool. If my gun is on my hip in its holster and you see my gun, and I tell baby, my cameras, my glasses is reflective. All right, so If you brandish a weapon, that's still brandishing. So you don't have to pull it out. I don't have to pull it out. This is a comb for anybody that be like, oh, Will pulled out a gun. This is a comb. I don't have to pull my gun out and be like, hey, Nick. I could just one time. That's still brandishing. So Myron's wrong on that one. Sorry, Myron.
Two completely different things.
Okay. So I want to go by the exact wording. They're saying the arrest warrant is showing that he turned into a bladed stance and reached for his firearm.
Okay. It's not illegal to reach for your gun.
Okay.
It's not illegal at all.
If someone...
And we don't even know if it's a gun yet. Like I said, he carries bear mace with him.
It's not illegal to reach for your gun. If your gun is concealed and you openly show someone your gun, that's brandishing. You don't have any intent to use the gun.
Two.
But if you're saying self-defense, it works both ways. If someone feels you're reaching for a gun based on what they've heard you say in the past and they punch you, it feels like it would be their self-defense, right?
Well, no, because he closed the distance and was the aggressor. The aggressor can't claim self-defense.
Well,
the aggressor can't claim self-defense. Make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The aggressor cannot claim self-defense. Okay.
Well, the point I was trying to say is that threatening someone with a gun is the person being aggressor. If I have a gun on my hip and I'm arguing with you and I lift my shirt up that you can see the gun and I say, yo, Myron, what you want to do? Yo, what's up? We can do it any way you want. And you see the gun. That is the initial aggressive event, even though I've not touched you. No, I've made a threat with a weapon.
That's fair.
No,
but you're missing a very important part, Ak.
Okay, go ahead.
If let's use a scenario. Let's say me and you are beefing. I see you on the street, right? You see me coming towards you. We're in the state of Florida or Tennessee.
Okay.
Hey, Ak, I heard you talking that say that to me now. You want to get packed up? You go like this. Yo, don't try it, bro. Get the fuck out of here, right? I keep talking and I close the distance even more like I'm about to strike you. Bro, you don't got to wait for come up and strike you. You can pretty much reasonably believe that I'm trying to hurt you, despite the fact that you gave me multiple warnings and we have a beef and a history where I'm threatening to, I'm going to pack you up. Now you have reasonable belief that I'm going to significantly hurt you or create serious bodily injury. That's all that's necessary. And I don't have a self-defense now because I was the one that started with you and I closed the distance. If I close the distance, I'm the aggressor. I no longer enjoy the benefits of a self-defense argument.
I feel like what you're saying is a tall order of a lot of circumstances that needs to fall in his particular favor, despite any of the things that people have seen. But again, here's a few hurdles we have to get past.
Let's have fun with it then. So real quick, would it be fair to say the first fact pattern I gave you, right? Which is what the people that are watching the stream on Pump Fun all told me. He's walking around. He sees them pointing at him and laughing. He walks up to start a conversation. Hey, how you guys doing today? Hey, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you around here. All right, I could walk wherever I want, but it is what it is. Walks away. Guy closes distance, says the stuff, I got PTSD, call me a chip and see what happens. You're going to chip out, punches. From all the witnesses I've heard from, he never called anyone a nigger, and he didn't say anything until the guy said, you better not say, oh, are you going to chimp out? Or sorry, are you going to say I'm chimp out, blah, 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 threaten him? Then he says, oh, or what, you going to chimp out? Then that's when he struck him. That's the first fact pattern. So I think in that one, he 1,000% has self-defense. He walked away.
Facts. I was just about to say that, El Euro. By Myron's logic, Karmelo technically has a self-defense case. What up, Gas Mask? What's going on, Sister Tracy? By that logic, Karmelo has a self-defense case. For those of you who don't remember, Karmelo Anthony was up under a tent during the rain. One of the brothers, Austin Metcalf, I guess they had an altercation, and he says, touch me and find out. And Austin touches him. So he reaches in his book bag, touch me and find out. And I guess Austin touches him again, and he comes up out with the knife, bang. According to Myron, Karmelo is innocent. Here's the problem. Proportionality. Everybody say proportionality in the chat. So that's something that we keep on missing. And we're only going to review this for like a little bit more, and then I'm going to open up the panel.
Way he didn't provoke. The guy closed the distance. He punched him first, and obviously shots were fired. We didn't see what happened, but you can hear a struggle. You can presume. Go ahead.
I think Dalton. I think that's his name, Dalton Etherly or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Him using out will be very replaceable of him using it in terms of it being seen as a fight. Okay, someone tells you, hey, listen, I have a particular condition. Don't do this. And you say, wait, or you're going to out. And that, I believe, is going to be seen, not by every jury in every vicinity, but I think overwhelmingly, definitely enough for an indictment where people are like, well, why did you say it then? If the guy gives you a warning, that is a warning, right? Hey, don't start that other stuff or else I might have to react. I can't help myself. Well, I don't know if he said that, but then you then follow up by saying, don't say you're out. That would then be, I would say, insightful, or what, a lot of, in many places, the law considers as fighting words. You don't think?
No, not at all, because that removes all autonomy from the guy, right? If we really had this whole concept of fighting words is ludicrous, because if we went off that precedent, like basically I could just say, I'm a and then
there's no legal precedence for fighting words.
Punch you and be justified in it. Like, that would never fly, right? Him saying, I have PTSD, you better not say champ or, right? And then he says, or what, you gonna out?
Now, and there's also this thing as well, right? You cannot compel someone's speech just because you have a condition, right? I think this is something that a lot of people have been arguing for the past few years, especially when it comes to this whole liberal, progressive, conservative, Democrat, Republican, this whole entire era, right? A lot of people are saying that, oh, well, you can't use these words because I have this condition. I can say whatever I want to say. My freedom of speech, my constitutional right, my civil right should not be impeded upon or approached upon just because you have a condition. If anything, if you have a condition, then maybe you need to deal with that. My free speech will not be stepped on just because you have a condition.
Like, and then the guy punches him, dude, like, we're all adults here. Like, that's just completely unacceptable behavior. And he closed the distance against him too. Keep in mind, bro, whoever closes the distance and is the aggressor.
Fierce Factory says there is a legal precedent for fighting words. It's been used in cases before. All right.
Is the in this situation.
Okay. And I know you said this before, but do you really believe that the only reason why you saw the charges?
Yeah.
You can't believe that all the charges are coming from, okay, just societal pressure and, hey, let's throw this to a grand jury and see what they say. You don't believe any of his actions. And well, let me start with this. So do you think he's justified in his shot?
With the first fact pattern I gave you, where again, from the people that saw the pump stream, that's self-defense all day. The guy came to close the distance on him. He hit him first.
You could shoot him.
Well, again, we don't know what.
Well, wait, stop right there. So even with that, Karmelo Anthony was up under the tent. He was approached by the brothers or by Austin Metcalf. By that logic, or by that breakdown, Karmelo Anthony's innocent. Even if he did say, touch me and find out, Karmelo Anthony's innocent.
Knows when he decided to pull the trigger. He could have hit him twice and knocked the wind out of him. He could have maybe had a weapon from what you saw. He could have said something like, oh, you're going to die today. Like, all of these different factors can easily help or justify an escalation to deadly
TB Truckin says he doesn't believe white men do anything wrong.
Force. Because obviously a fight situation, every millisecond, the facts are changing.
313 Steven says U.S. constitutional law, fighting words are defined as words that by their way utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace established by the Supreme Court in 1942. 313 Steven, let me tell you this though. This is why, even though I appreciate you bringing that to the chat, I always ask this, right? Who's to say what is and what is not fighting words? My brother Christopher J in the chat always says, what's a 3 for you is not is maybe a 10 for me, or what's a 3 for me might be a 10 for you, right? If someone says to you, I'ma slap the shit out you, is that fighting words? If a woman says it to you in the midst of a sexually engagement, oh, I'ma slap the shit out you, is that fighting words? For some people that might be a turn on. For others that might just be you just talking. Does that necessarily mean that it's fighting words? Is there a list that says these definitely are fighting words? 313 says that would be inciting violence. Well, again, if someone says, oh, I'm a do this to you, is that fighting words? For some people who may not feel threatened by you, you might not be a threat. Does that mean that you're a threat just because you said it, or does it mean that you're a threat because how the person took it, right? Let's continue.
Which will allow you to justify the use of deadly force. So, you could say, oh, one punch doesn't suffice. But as I explained before with the example, well, to a female, it suffices, right? So by definition, that means the person that is using the force must have a reasonable reason or a reasonable belief that they were in fear of death or some serious bodily injury, which serious bodily injury could just be a broken bone. It's not that high of a barrier. So with the fact pattern that I have, I think it's self-defense all day. Now, the other one you gave, because you gave a second scenario where you said he came to him and he was bladed like this and he was reaching for something. It's not illegal to reach for something. And we don't even know if it was his mace or his gun, because he always carries mace around him with him as well. And he normally always maces people first when they come to him. So we don't know if it was a mace.
Establishing that he was reaching for something, especially given the fact that there hasn't, unless maybe he identified there was a threat before, kind of shows that he was already in a position to be the offender, or he was anticipating getting hit, but there is no threat at that point. Well, right? And apparently he doesn't get hit until he says something, which that I would consider, and I think that would constitute fighting words, right? Again, you can't just antagonize people and shoot them. Like that would be like the greatest thing ever, right? Like you go out, like you would the person hits you, you shoot him dead. Like that would be like the best thing to just trick people out their spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
well, the thing is
that would change the entire scope of legal precedent all across America. If anybody could come up to you and just say something to you and cause you to have a reaction and then they shoot you, it'll be a problem.
Bro, it's like saying someone's out is not fighting words. Like what? Are you gonna chip out? It's not fighing words.
No, absolutely it is.
You think that's like fighting words?
A racial, anything towards, if it's a homophobic slur, a racial epithet, it's all of that is going to go towards you are using speech in a way to violently offend, to either cause a reaction or to start an altercation, right?
That's not true. And I hate to disagree with Ack on this one a little bit, right? This is where I disagree with Ack on this one. When it comes to the racial language, right? We all know all of the colorful language words that's out there that can be used in a racial way, right? Braylon says speech isn't violence. This is true. Now let's talk about it for a second, right? If I say, "What's up, my nigga?" Is that racial language? What's up, my nigga? Or if I say, "Back your bitch ass up, nigga. I'm gonna hit you in your shit, nigga." Oh, what's up, nigga? If I just say, "What's up, nigga?" and I say, "Oh, what's up, nigga?" Same sentence, different inclinations. Does that mean that both are racially driven, or one is more of a welcoming greeting and the other one is more of an invitation to violence? So when it comes to racial language, because even in the black community, a lot of people they get mad when I say this. In the black community, we use it so freely. We use it as a term of endearment and as a form of a threat. Let's continue.
If someone, let me ask you a question. If someone walked up to me and be like, "Your dead grandma," is that fighting words to you?
No.
Okay, well, all right. So you might be a little bit different.
Like no, like people, I would be like, this guy's weird and leave.
Okay, so you have much more tolerance. I think if we've looked at the history of what's called, even fighting words, really even offending people just to get them off, whatever, interrupting and offending people, especially with slurs, are usually generally considered that.
Well, I'm looking right now. It's words meant to incite violence, such as they may not be protected under the First Amendment. So basically,
what is that? Now, when I hear out, you basically said
I don't think that constitutes as a justification to punch somebody. There's no justification to punch somebody. Like zero.
No. I'm not arguing that it means you could punch someone. I'm arguing that the rhetoric that you approach that person with is now eliminated what you claimed you were there to do, which is practice your First Amendment right. Because now you're not practicing your First Amendment right because you've approached with words and type of speech that's not protected. So already your goal is not even within the bounds of what is actually accepted. And then what happens from there, we now have to look at differently. So now, okay, all right, fine. Let's say it was some protected speech and the guy punches him. Well, if it stops there, the guy gets an assault charge. It's a simple battery, right? That's like a misdemeanor some places, unless he really goes crazy on you, it maybe would turn into a felony. But that's what it is there. When that is the only precursor, right? We got to, like, again, and maybe for your audience, I'm using a ridiculous example. example. It's like, yo, if we all agree to go shoot up like our enemy's block, right? And we all hop in a car and we're going to go there, right? Mm-hmm. And during the commission of this crime, one of us gets shot. They're probably going to charge us with murder. Or if we go to rob the bank and one of us get killed by the security guard, yeah, you guys get charged with the murder. So it's like, in a lot of cases, you got to follow the...
Act did a very bad job at explaining that, so I'm going to try to explain it a little bit better. For everybody that's following in the chat, hopefully y'all still here. Make sure y'all like the stream. If I'm a bank robber, right? Please make sure y'all listen, right? If I'm a bank robber, and let's say I'm gonna pick somebody out the chat, I'm gonna pick TBE Trucking. TBE Trucking, are you okay with me using you for this example? Put it one in the chat. Are you okay with that? Let's say TBE Trucking is a security guard, okay? And gas mask is at the window. If I'm a bank robber and I walk into the bank and I go to rob the bank, and on my way out of leaving the bank, TBE Trucking is the security guard. So he has his gun at me. Thankfully enough, gas mask was at the window. He left. He makes it outside. In the midst of me shooting, remember, I'm the bank robber. In the midst of me shooting at TBE Trucking, who's a security guard, I end up striking and killing gas mask. I get charged with that murder. Even if I was only intending to shoot to harm or to kill TBE Trucking. If I shoot TBE and that bullet hits gas mask and kills him, I get charged with that murder. That's how that works. So I just had to explain that really quick. Let's continue.
The sequence of events of how this crime is committed, or how it devolves to the last step. So is the first offender by utilizing these fighting words that then, again, it doesn't justify, but it's the sequence of events, right? Like, for example, you didn't rob the bank yet, but walking into the bank, you had the intent of robbing, and then the security guard shoots your man, right? So again, you got to follow the sequence of events, and in none of the sequence of events is this guy being just unnecessarily provoked and unnecessarily being just like completely, hey,
Hey, TB Truck, you said that's a terrible example. That's literally an example that he just used.
let us call you a name that is provocative, or just provoke you. And I think that's where.
So okay, yeah. So number one, in this scenario, like I said before, wasn't the first offender because the guy came up to him. So it was the guy that was the first offender.
Well, he started having a conversation first with
he said,
sorry.
Yeah, he said,
well, it's not against the law to have a conversation with someone. So just because Chud the Builder walked up to him does not mean that he was breaking the law.
hello, how you guys doing? He didn't swear at them. He didn't say anything. He
Correct.
walked away. Then that's when the guy came up and said he knew who he was. He was like, hey, you better not say that chip out to me or call me in. Otherwise.
All right. So Chud walks up to this group of people. He says something to him. They don't want to have a conversation with him. He's walking away. The guy, Dalton, approaches Chud, and this is where we at right now.
Problems because I got PTSD, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, or what? You going to chimp out? Then he strikes. Also, real quick.
All right. So Chud says, are you going to chimp out? And then the guy punches him.
Assuming that let's assume he did call him a name. Let's go best case scenario for the prosecution. Let's say he did call him a name. The word still is not considered a fighting according to U.S. law. Still not.
According to U.S. law, he says the word nigga is not considered to be fighting words. I would argue in most communities, in the black community, absolutely it does.
And then on top of that, just to be fair, it's not a fighting word.
Fighting words aren't necessarily just all spelled out. It's fighting words have a meaning behind them, which means anything that has, and this is why, the Sneeko debate constantly comes up, is like, if there's a shared meaning of offense or provoke, me trying to provoke you, that is going to be seen as a fight. It's not like clearly defined fight.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is, because you said racial terms.
TB Trucker says to be seen to be an antagonizer is. Okay.
Terms are considered fighting words. They're not. Now, what you're referring.
Curtis says hate speech is not protected.
To is within certain contexts, right?
A white man calling a black guy the hard ER, or saying he's out, that is as fighting words as could be. Come on.
Okay. To you,
in the United States of America.
Okay, again,
yes.
What you might constitute as fighting words isn't constituted as fighting words according to U.S. law. I want to be
okay. So I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. I'm gonna ask everybody in the chat: a white man calling a black man a nigger. Nigger, a white man calling a black man a nigger. Is a fight about to break out? I'm asking everybody in the chat. Is a fight about to break out? That's my question. That's the base. That's the most simplest way I can put that.
Be clear about this. Like, you might take offense and be like, yo, those are fighting words. I'm whooping your ass. According to the law, the term isn't a fighting. Now, I'm going to be charitable. Let's assume the was used with other behaviors that might be.
Wait.
Come on, Myron, you got to get off of this, bruh. If you're going to argue that Chud used the word nigger, at the end of the day, guess what? You can only assume it's going to be it's going to be a fight. Armin says yes, and that's why they do it. Chuck says I wouldn't fight over that. Okay, no problem. More than often, yes.
You saying that could never be a fight, or you're saying just in itself it's not a fight, but
by law it's not a fighting word. But even if we're just dealing with out of law, if a white man calls me a nigger, hey nigger, oh, you best believe I'm coming to get that. I'm coming to collect.
Because contextually, the way this guy, when I hear him say out, I hear him saying that. Like,
oh, and wait, hold on, DJ Academics. Just because someone say, "Are you going to chimp out?" that does not necessarily mean it has to be racist. Again, and I like that they're having this back and forth. But at the end of the day, just because you call a white man calling a black man or saying to a black man, "Are you going to chimp out?" Can it be racist? Yes. Is it fighting words? It's up to y'all. Oh, by the way, I see it's 300 y'all in the building. Please make sure that you're all double tapping your screen, triple tapping your screen till you see that like. And the panel link is pinned. I know a lot of y'all on, if you're watching on your phone, you're not going to be able to click the StreamYard link. So what I will do is, as people start coming up on the panel, I will switch y'all over that's from vertical. I will switch y'all over to the horizontal stream. That way y'all can be able to join the panel so y'all can have the conversation. Marsha says, this man is taking up for Chud, and now I understand how he lost his girl to a guy on roller skates. God damn. Kojak, what's going on, my brother OG? What's happening? No happening. Chud is instigating fight with blacks and using the reaction as a reason to shoot them legally. Appreciate that. Gas Mask says, if you get mad about being told about chimping out, that means you see yourself as a monkey. I hate to even agree almost with Gas Mask on this, but I gotta agree with the logic. If someone calls you a bitch and you answer to it, you see yourself as a bitch. That's the argument that's being made across social media. If someone calls you broke and you answer to being broke, that means that you see yourself as broke. But I get what he's saying, though.
Sure.
My brain substitutes.
Sure. But remember, everything. Notice how you respond to me, like, from your subjective take. Whereas I'm telling you,
the anecdotal thing here. I think we're this is where we probably depart in many mutual thinking. I think remember, listen, even my audience know I am not Tariq Nasheed. They know, like, listen, when ACT feels offended by this is something that the majority of people who are melanated are going to feel offended by. This is not normal. Like, and I know when you say that you wouldn't feel offended by I think you're the very small minority. I think if you walk up to most people that consider themselves or have some ancestry.
By the way, for those of y'all that the audio is breaking out, that's because he edited the video. Some language that was being used, he edited out.
That emanate from that sector. If they heard a white man say that to them, immediately it would offend. They would feel like someone is trying to either oppress them and again, it's just the word is loaded with meanings for people of a certain color.
All right, would it be fair to say
that you could brush it off is very different.
All right, let's go into a scenario. Okay, are people adults and full-fledged members of society.
Absolutely.
So if they're adults and full-fledged members of society, right, that have autonomy, well, that also comes with responsibility. If you punch somebody for saying a word just because you're a black, that actually looks bad on the race. Because I'll tell you this, if I went to a neighborhood and started throwing Roman salutes and saying the Jew.
Come on, Myron. Come on, Doug. You can't do that. You can't say that looks bad on the black race for someone reacting to a usage of a word. Although I could agree with you that words should not equal out to violence. You're talking about on a public level, on a social level. Most people are not going to react to racism in a positive way. I think we can all agree on that, right? If someone is being openly, disrespectfully, purposefully racist towards you, you're more than likely not going to have a positive reaction, right? So on a legal side, I can understand what he's saying, but on a social level, if a person is being openly racist to you and they're being derogatorily racist to you, you're probably not going to have a positive reaction. So you can't say that this looks bad on the black community. I mean, you can, but at the end of the day, not all black people react like that. Some of us do, some of us don't. Let's continue.
I pretty much won't have to worry about anything. They're not going to come up and punch me because they're exercising self-restraint because they're adults. So your argument is basically, hey, bro, just don't say because they don't have self-control and they're going to punch you in the face. That's basically what you're trying to say. Now, going back to what I was saying about the whole law thing, the term is not enough to be considered fighting words. It needs to be utilized with some other imminent threat of violence. In this scenario, now let's go back to the Builder case because we're being very specific. I only said the word to be charitable, but if doesn't meet fighting requirement, definitely doesn't. And then to go further than that, hold on. Let me just finish.
Rain on the pavement.
Okay, like, I can address that after. So it's not considered a fighting unless some type of imminent violence is behind it, right? Next, if not a fighting, we can pretty much conclude that now isn't a fighting either. Then to add insult to injury to finish, the guy closed the distance on him, then said, you better not say now, and then he says, or what? You're going to out? That's when he punched him. So this guy has zero justification to do what he did. Again, I am going off of the facts and circumstances.
See what Myron is doing here. He's trying to really walk it down, but in more ways than one, he's defending. I think everyone can agree in the chat. I'm gonna just ask y'all. Do y'all think that Myron is defending Chud in this particular debate? Would y'all say that Myron is, pretty much taking the position that he's defending Chud in his actions? The Fizz Factory says in Tennessee, any words used to provoke a reaction from a person can be considered fighting words. And if a fight ensues, you then have a duty to calm the situation. Otherwise, lose your self-defense claim. Facts. He always defend a white man over a black man. Okay. King Rooster says they will never say that to the Jays. They react to what YouTubers say all the time. All right. Gas mask, I don't think so. All right.
On what happened that day. Now let's address that tweet you mentioned with somebody on a sidewalk, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, that's not the best look, right? But I do think it's important to understand that you could be let me say this. You could be a criminal. You can be a sex offender. You could be one of the most deplorable people ever. That does not deny you the right to defend yourself. You could say all kinds of crazy shit on the internet, but that does not mean that you can't defend yourself. So the tweet, I hate to say, is completely irrelevant to this specific use of force.
I think I disagree. I think his entire background makes this very different than
that's not going to come in at trial though. The important, like the most important, that none of that's coming. It won't.
You don't believe that his previous behaviors and tweets will come in at all?
No, because what's going to happen is the prosecution's going to try. The prosecution's obviously going to try to put it in.
Well, here's the thing. It's absolutely going to come in because, number one, and that's another thing that Mr. Chud's going to learn. He said, if you're going to shoot somebody, you got to make sure you kill him. That boy's going to take the stand. You know what he's going to say? Hey, the reason why I said that to him, that don't say this type of rhetoric, is because I've seen him on social media many times. So it's automatically going to come in. I've seen him on social media. He says this rhetoric. It's pissed me off. There is context towards just us having a random run-in. And if that guy takes a stance, you can't, the stand, you can't immediately just.
You do realize that if the guy takes a stand and says what you just said, he's going to exonerate. You do realize that, right? You just made Chud's case. You literally just made Chud's case, bro.
Not necessarily.
Bro, you literally just, wait. You just made Chud's case, bro.
No, because we disagree what the case is. The case is not saying why did this altercation happen or who was the first person that was physically violent. My thing is, if you like to pop that much, you better get security or learn to squabble up. You cannot shoot someone just because you get punched. I think the guy
you absolutely can shoot someone for punching you.
The guy who punched him probably should get an assault charge, honestly. Yeah. However, it's going to be nerfed by the fact that he got shot. The point is, if you are this raging who thinks that you're practicing your First Amendment right, you better be a black belt, because when somebody slaps you, you better be able to beat him to the ground, not try to shoot him and execute him. They didn't charge him with just aggravated assault, which means you shot him. They charged him with attempted murder, which means you tried to murder a man who punched you. And again, I know you say, well, maybe it's like 15 punches. Well, clearly, and I get it, maybe they've just overcharged and we're going to see what it is. But the reason why he's sitting in jail now, can't even take the bond that's coming through with the GoFundMe, this and third, is because you miscalculate. It's not only that you were doing some crazy shit and you should have knew this were going to be the consequences, white skin or not. You operated in a place where now you have to go rely on a bunch of jurors to see your side. You got played. As much as he was running around calling people, calling them, the only person who was misinformed of the actual law, the guy who shot him, yes, he got shot. He's not getting charged. The only person who got handcuffs on him that's showing up to court looking when they say 1.25 million bail is you, because everything you were doing wasn't fully backed by the law. And it wasn't fully backed by the law. Again, I'm not so you believe he's solely charged.
Okay, so number one, me and you both know that people get charged on high-profile cases like this that are racially motivated because the DA's office doesn't want to deal with it. I'll be fair to you. Look at Karmelo Anthony when he's...
And for those who are saying Karmelo Anthony's case has nothing to do with this, this is why I titled the stream the way I did, and this is why I brought it up. Let's go ahead and listen. By the way, please make sure you get the likes up. Thank you to Kim K with the $5 cash app. Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. If y'all want to support the show, you can go ahead and hit that cash app. It is $SELLYOULIGHT. Thank you. Let's continue.
Stabbed Austin Metcalf. He claimed self-defense, but they still arrested him. Why? Because the state doesn't want to have to deal with the backlash that can come whenever these, racially charged cases end in someone dying. They'd rather push it to the grand jury or the jury. That's number one. Number two, when I mentioned that stuff's not going to come in, you do realize if that stuff does come in about his past, all of that is going to give even more justification because he's an antagonizer. He's a controversial person. Everybody hates him. This allows him to be able to say, look, I'm on heightened alert because people are trying to kill me. They doxed my address, blah, blah. This dude came up to me. He's made threats to me before on Facebook.
Not if it's proven that he's provoking that particular incident.
No, he didn't, though. That's the point. He did not provoke this. See, you're relying upon past streams to justify this guy coming up and assaulting because of what he did on other streams. This use of force incident, hold on, real quick. This use of force incident.
Brain says, do you have PayPal? Yes, I do.
Is an isolated event and nothing really matters from before.
But my PayPal has my real name on it and I don't want people knowing my real name. So Brain, do me a favor. Send me an email. Send me an email here. Which email do I want to give you? Hold on.
You can be a murderer, a terrible person. That stuff isn't going to come in. Now, because I talked about this with Andrew. Hold on. Let me just finish.
He said to him, you're out. If you said to that guy, he's out, and for whatever reason, he takes that offense, you have started a train of events.
He didn't because that guy came up to him. In this isolated incident of use of force, walked away, the guy closed the distance. He was the one that provoked. Then he punched first. Responding or you're going to out does not give this guy the legal right to punch him under some ambiguous fighting terms phrase. We know doesn't even constitute for that. So how is chipping out going to constitute? Dude, this is opens up, man.
Wait. You're constantly, you're restating my point without actual, I never said he has the right to punch him. I've always
thought Chud provoked. You're arguing Chud provoked, and I'm saying he didn't.
hold on. You hear what I'm saying? I think he antagonized the situation, right? Fighting words do not get, hold on. I agree. Fighting words do not give people the right to assault you.
Okay.
However, once we start there and you get assaulted, it then doesn't give you the right to use deadly force. That's the point. So
no, it's based on proportion. Proportionality plays a role in all of this.
Again, should have squabbled up. Or if you knew your squabble game was weak and you had to pull the gun, you should have never been in that situation. So yes, the guy's wrong for punching, but should have punched him back. Not use, that's not proportional force. And I'm telling you, I would love to. First of all, here's the thing.
Yo,
this is how much I don't care about. If beats this case, if a lift a finger at me, I'm killing him straight up. Like this is not good. If you think he's gonna get off shooting a guy because a guy punched him one. Like, by the way, there's no like flurry of punches. We heard the guy hits him, right? If he gets off by being able to legally shoot someone because someone punched him, let's end fist fights because you punched me. I'm gonna see you. We gonna say the seventh heaven.
Okay,
that's not happening.
That's true. This is gonna set up this. Well, Gas Mask says academic has no logic. Technically, this case would set a precedent. If Chud the Builder beats this case, the precedent is going to be that if someone said something to you and they punch you after you respond to them, you should be able to kill them. That's going to be a dangerous precedent. And you know why that's going to be a dangerous precedent? Let me tell you why. Because you have a lot of people who are running around all over social media, all over America, all over the world, who are saying, you hurt my feelings. I was offended. And since I was offended, I was assaulted because your language was assaultive and it offended me and my feelings was hurt. So I feel that I feel that you were using this language to cause harm to me. So now, if that person assaults you and then you defend yourself, they can shoot you or you can shoot them. It would change the entire game. All right, so I want to put a pause right there. For all of you that are watching on the vertical stream, you're about to be switched over to the horizontal stream because I'm opening the panel. As once again, as you come up, please make sure you be on camera. It's greatly appreciated. So again, if you want to join the link, it is going to be right then and there. For everyone that is on vertical stream, you're about to be sent over to the horizontal stream. As y'all come up, please have your arguments prepared and if you can be on camera, it would be preferred if you're on camera. Y'all about to be transitioned over to the horizontal stream. We will see y'all over on the horizontal stream. Bet. All right, for all of you that are still here in the horizontal stream, please put a 1 in the chat. It's greatly appreciated. Let me make sure that y'all still here. And make sure y'all still here. We should still be running in the horizontal stream. We should be, you never know these days. Let me see. All right, cool. So we still here. All right, cool. Bet. All right, cool. So we still here. We got 32 people in the chat. That lets me know that a lot of people was coming in from the vertical stream. But again, the link is pinned if y'all want to join. Let me make sure the link is actually pinned. Hold on. Let me remove this one. Move this.